Welcome to a Spa Girls mini tip session. We focus on the burning questions authors have so they can write better and sell more books. Let's go.
How long do you think it will take you to make your first $1,000 in self-publishing?
24 hours.
Yes!
No.
That's the actual answer.
Pressing the buzzer.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be nice if we could just wave that magic wand and
Guarantee.
say, yes,
Yeah.
there it is.
It's happening.
All
So
right.
I think the answer is how long is a piece of string is what we
Yes.
So,
decided.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think
But
that's
I think-
exactly what we mean.
and I think, we've had, 8 years plus of talking to authors and we've got some really interesting ranges of how long it's taken people, but maybe we can talk on a personal level, firstly.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't
okay.
remember how long it
It's
took
a
Anna to
long way
take my
back.
first
It's a long way
1,000,
back, really.
I think our journeys are also very different.
Yes.
I mean, I started down the trad line, so my first advance got me there, but after that, she was a slow old whore on that one book until I went my first self-published.
Self-publishing.
And we talked about that. I had a vein with self-publishing. I was lucky enough to step in at a time where it was still the Wild West, and it went well. My first book up went. It was great, but
So
the
you
next
made
one,
your
not so
first
much.
$1,000 in a few days, though, to be fair, from that book.
Yeah.
So it
At
absolutely
24
can be
hours is
done.
possible.
Yeah.
But
I wasn't being sarcastic.
No,
It
totally
was.
can be done. Totally
Yeah.
can be done.
Yeah.
I don't know that it's as easy these days as it was then.
I think it is still possible. We've talked to, and it was a wee while ago now, we had an author on called Fallon Briggs, and she talked about writing to trend versus writing to market and how she kind of changed pen names and that kind of thing. And she was very focused on getting to that $1,000, within the first month. So that, and she talks a little bit about her methods in there. She doesn't talk about her what subgenre she's writing in, which is totally her right. And with everything that we're about to say, there comes an element of, I don't want to use luck because I don't believe it's luck. I believe it's timing, that there can be a fortuitous timing of things.
Yes. Yeah.
But usually it is just hitting a vein, like you said before, Wendy, hitting a reader vein.
That's right.
But
And depending on what at that time is going well.
People can do it on purpose. Like we've had Stephanie Holmes on, and she talked about she was in the reader groups, and she was watching certain things happening, and she started noticing people talking more and more. And this is the reverse harem which she was talking about. But she started seeing people talking more and more about it, and she thought, well, actually, I'm a fast writer. I can write that genre. I read a lot of it, and she did it, and it worked well for her. So there is. It is possible to kind of
doing your due diligence about what you're going to write, or what your expectations are as well for what you're going to write. But I mean, for me, from my personal experience, it took me a long time to get to a 1K. For me, getting $100 a month from Amazon, because they don't pay out and they don't pay out for 60 days after you've made $100. So you have to wait for that and then wait for that. And I mean, it was, what can you do with $100 seriously when you're trying to publish a book? But it was like Christmas. It was like the best feeling ever. So $1,000 to me was like, wow, I couldn't believe I'd done it. But when I think back about how I did it, and probably how Trudy did it as well, we were shy. We were worried about other people's perception of our writing. So we didn't do a lot with actually surrounding ourselves. We had plenty of friends in the writing business. We didn't put ourselves out there. We didn't ask people for favors, for swaps or things like that. So I honestly believe that it is doable in a far quicker time frame for most people if they're willing. First, it has to be a good product, right? There's no getting away from that. But also finding people that will promote your work, because you only have to get a couple of people or a few people with a reasonable newsletter list, and they've not done anything. They've taken your link, they've taken your cover, maybe a blurb, they put it in their newsletter, and suddenly those people are seeing your work, people that you never knew.
Yeah.
And they may come onto your newsletter. They may now be a fan of yours. But those sorts of things I didn't see as a possibility for me for a long time, because I was
more opportunity.
I was thinking, like, what if my book's rubbish? And then they tell that author that my book's rubbish, or but sales tell you that, right?
Yeah.
Sales will actually tell you whether
Reviews,
people enjoy
sales.
your book.
Yeah.
And I'm
There's
thinking
more opportunities out there now.
So
I
many.
think
I mean,
there is more
book funnel
opportunity.
is huge.
Yep.
Book funnel is
Massive.
huge when you have not a big reader list yourself, is to do swaps and for other people to put it in the newsletter. It's just, it can be a game changer, I think, for new authors.
And an example of wonderful networking and done in a really authentic, delightful way is Jamie Albright. We've had Jamie on the podcast. She's got an amazing podcast herself with Sarah on Wish I'd Known When. Wish I'd Known Then. Sorry, not when, then. Which we'll put a link to as well. But she's not a fast writer, which you'll readily admit to, but her first book out of the gate was tremendously successful, and she would have easily hit that $1,000.
Because she's a networking genius.
She networked like a mogul, didn't she?
Yeah.
She seriously.
So go find information on Jamie. Go look at her. She's talked at 20 books, which is on YouTube for free to look at. So it absolutely can be done. But as Cheryl said, don't lose sight. You've got to have the right book, well packaged. And by well packaged, we're talking good cover and blurb. Doesn't have to be expensive, it just has to be the right cover. We've talked about that in previous episodes, which we'll put a link to.
So I think a big part of what she was talking about is your mindset around it.
Yes.
So as long as if we take as a given that you've got a great book with an amazing package, you've done all the things that we've mentioned in previous podcasts about creating that book. Sometimes your mindset can still hold you back. This idea that you want to stay hidden and not be out there and showing your face and doing whatever. And I think you have to kind of acknowledge that that's a part of what we do. As an author, you're a public figure. You're someone, you're putting yourself out there. And as much as that might be scary for a lot of us introverts who don't want to actually leave the house, it's part of what we do. And even if you have to, I don't know, that some people talk about creating personas to kind of get you out there and doing things, but you have to get out there, you have to be on social media, you have to do, and even if you don't feel comfortable being an amazing networker, I mean, Jamie is a natural networker, like she just is so good at just,
she's a people person.
Yeah,
you don't have to be a Jamie.
You don't have to be a Jamie, but there might be something else that you can do really comfortably. You might love TikTok, or you might be really good at Insta, or there might be something that, or we've had authors on talking about, like, I think it was Katie Cross talked about, she used to get on Zoom, or still does, gets on Zoom with her readers and has like a session.
My worst nightmare, I couldn't.
Yeah, but I mean, I was just like, that's
everybody's got their thing, right?
Whatever works for you. Yeah.
And the thing is, you cannot sell a secret.
So
you
true.
know, when I very first started in real estate, my boss said to me, "You can't sell a secret, Wendy. You're going to go out and cold call 5 houses today." I honestly nearly threw up. And I sat outside a house for about 5 hours. No, ages. And then the guy came outside. He said, "Can I help you?" And I was like, "I've got to come into your house." And he said, "Come and have tea. My wife's just made scones." So I had the best experience. But what I'm saying is, it's actually not as scary as you think it is once you start it. It's that first step. Find a step that feels comfortable for you and then do it. You know, for me, I struggle reaching out to other authors.
Yes,
I really do.
exactly.
But I get pushed by people, mainly these three, to do that. So I've started doing that, and I do it and encourage. Okay, support it. If you want to call it that, that's fine. But you know, like, and that's a huge thing. Reach out to other authors, because chances are they're feeling the same. Even the big dogs, they'll come back very gently to you and say yay or nay. Pete, no one's going to be horrible, you know. And that's the thing about this game. Everyone in it is usually really lovely. I mean, you get the outliers that aren't, but what I'm saying is put yourself out there.
And be flexible, because there may be a reason that they can't put you on your newsletter for the next month. Maybe they've got a new release coming out. Maybe they're taking a time off or whatever. Just anytime. It might not be good for your new release, but it doesn't matter, because it will bring sales later on, which is good too.
And
often they'll have a Google Doc. They'll have a Google Doc on their website. And it says something, you can put it in there if you want to be a part of a swap. You don't even have to reach out to them, you know. so I think you don't put a big barrier up until you've done the work to see what you
Yeah.
can do.
I would say join author groups. Don't direct message authors, because that's pretty crap.
I know,
Like,
I'm
don't
talking
friend people.
emailing through their website.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's that, but also I think join Facebook groups with authors, particularly that are writing in your particular subgenre as well. Is a really good way of, and talk about, hey, I'm a new author, and look, I'd really appreciate, so like, you can do that. You don't have to do anything major. If nobody takes you up on that, I would also question and maybe ask, hey, what do you think of my cover? Because that could be another issue as well, that people are, when you're turning down somebody, you don't necessarily want to take on an argument and say, actually, your covers looks like you've made it in paint. So, so there's that as well. So, and I'm reluctant. I think it's also
I
about
hate that
how
when
many
she says
books.
I'm reluctant.
I'm reluctant to say you can't do it in one book. You can absolutely do it, but I think it's as Wendy says, you can't sell a secret. Well, you can't sell a whole lot of secrets without. So you've got to have books behind you as well. I think that helps. I think a natural momentum builds. It can be really hard selling that very first book out of the gate. But
if someone reads that book and you've got the second one pre-ordered in there, boom, you're away from it.
It's really
And
hard
it's in a
to
hot
be
genre,
patient, isn't it? It's really
very
hard to
hard.
accept that
We're
people
not like that.
don't want to buy that book that you just put up, that you blood, sweat and tears for like years. And I mean, my first book was years and years and years. But you just have to be patient. It is hard. It is hard. I'm sorry about that, but it is the rite of passage of all authors.
All good things, they take time and they are tough. If
And
you really want it,
writing,
and each book you'll just get better.
I feel like there's this myth, maybe this is the core of what we're talking about. There's this myth that writers are born and not made, that's an innate talent that you have, and that all writers just sit down one day and start writing. Like Shakespeare just sat down one day and wrote Hamlet, and it just was perfect.
Jane Austen.
Or Jane Austen sat down and, and there was no blood, sweat or tears. There was no apprenticeship. There was no learning. It was just them and there, and it was whatever. And that's not true. 100%. That is never true. Ever. That is not. Like, people have to learn. And even sometimes when we get people on the podcast who say, oh, I just wrote this first book because I thought I could do it better than all, but they're probably they're probably whale readers who read 100 million books as their apprenticeship, and it kind of had, they knew and understood the structure, and maybe they hadn't done it, they hadn't learnt it, but they'd absorbed it, and they'd somehow, and it spewed forth because of that. Like, there's never, there's always something there that you have to learn.
And we're all different. It takes a different way of learning for a lot of us. It's not, some of us are more visual, and some of us want to listen to everything or read everything, and some of us just have to chip away until it's a reality.
It is a long game. I think if you want to make a career out of this, you have to understand that you want to get a product on that bookshelf that's going to be there in 5 years and still be making you money, and starting
longer.
Yeah, for sure. Do your homework. You'll get to that 1,000.
A couple of things that will help. So we've got writing more books, like keep writing, make sure you've got multiple books. Another one is writing in series. Another one is staying in the same genre. These are all things that will help you.
Don't jump from genre to genre when you're starting out, because that can be so hard to build a readership.
Well, you can
don't
expect to make money.
Well, you can do it. I mean, look, you can do whatever you want. You can, write it on a homemade paper if you want to, but if we I don't want to say ruthless, but if we're being focused on making that $1,000, do what works. And what works is sticking in your lane and writing in a popular subgenre. That's what works. A good book, well packaged. Now, if you're wanting to increase or decrease the amount of time it takes to make that $1,000, remember that there are other ways of making money as well. And we talked to Amelia Rose about subscriptions. She did things in a very different way. So there's more than one way up the money mountain. We'll link to that in the show notes, but she set up Ream with her 2 business partners, and that's a lot of authors are doing really well in there as a supplementary income, if not their full income. But she started off by publishing on Wattpad of all places and growing an audience there. It's really about writing something. The fundamental, though, is writing something that other people want to read, not necessarily what your book of your heart is. So it's about being very, very mindful in writing. I'm not saying to trend, I'm saying to what the market expects. And
I would try and mix that in and say, write something you enjoy writing that happens to be the trend. Like, don't write something.
No,
You've never read a military science fiction book and you see that they're trending.
Understanding.
Don't write that, because it'll just be really hard, and you probably won't enjoy it because it's not a genre you enjoy.
Well,
like,
ideally, it's something you got to repeat, right? So
you
got to write what you're writing because you got to repeat it.
And on the back of that diversifying, Shah, I also think it's quite good to think right off the bat to get your ebook up and then get your print book up relatively quickly, if not at the same time, because then that becomes two products. And even if people want the cheaper version, what they're looking at is the price of that print book, and that's actually what the book is worth. If I went to a bookshop, that's what I'd have to pay. Not really, but you know. And the ebook, look how much cheaper that is, and that's a viable option for me. I can afford that. Or even, will I go into KU where it becomes a subscription service? My book goes into a subscription service, and people will read my book for free. Not really either, but you know, I mean, it's just a different way of selling it too. So maybe, you know, the thinking of, will you go exclusive or will you go wide? All those things can help push up sales. You know, like
exactly, it's serializing on Radish, you know, like all those things. A lot of people are making good money on Radish serializing. It means you can just write and then pop up, and you know, like that sort of thing, if you don't want to just get the whole book done.
And I would look at pricing as well. I think too many people put, particularly their first books, put them up at 99 cents. You're going to make like 30 cents on that. That's going to be super hard to make any decent money with that. So, you know, I would, particularly if you're in Kindle Unlimited, I would say if it's honestly anything, well, personally, I would put anything up at $2.99 plus. You know, don't understand.
At least that's your strategy.
Because it could be a strategy, because you
the
could
99-cent thing could be a strategy.
Coming onto your newsletter list, which is huge.
It could be a short-term strategy, but in order to make 1,000, I think you have to be savvy about pricing and which is a whole nother conversation. But it can be done, and there's also a lot of people, there's a short reads and category that people are doing really well in Amazon as well. And so and you know, maybe look at what word count that you're comfortable with, and if it's a choice between writing one book in 3 months or 3 books in the same amount of time, I would question whether it would be better to write those 3 books than it would be that 1 book in 3 months when you're starting off, in order to get to that first $1,000. Because it's easier, believe it or not. I think
it's about what you want to get. Whether you want to, whether your goal is to get to the $1,000, which is what this podcast is about, or whether your goal is for long term, just getting those larger products on the shelf. But
I think it's it's often a point that people, that quite rightly, it's kind of like a milestone, right? It's a big milestone. Look, to be honest, getting the first check from Amazon's a big milestone. Like when you get over that threshold, as Cheryl said, for the $100. You know, there's a group called 20 Books to 50K. If you're new to this, I mean, it's been around for a long time. And the premise of that was that you have to write 20. The founder worked out that if he wrote 20 books, he would earn $50,000 a year. So, like ongoing income, and that's, you know, you can go on there and read
way
all
more
about
than
it
that now.
He's added a few zeros to that one, but you know, that was the thing. It was about just kind of getting over yourself and publishing, really, I think, was the fundamental thing behind it.
And those products can be used later on. You could, you know, if you have a shorter product, you could use it as a lead magnet, you know, or three lead magnets, if you like, because you could, if you've written it, for your newsletter, if you've written like 3 short stories, you could give them like 1 a week or something like that. And really, once you've got another product that you're selling, you know, you don't want to just waste them, but you know, use that in that way, and then that product is so beneficial, and I think anything you write's not wasted, to be honest.
No. But I would say you've got to publish it. If it's sitting on your hard
Yeah.
drive and you're second guessing yourself, going right back, circling right back around to the mindset thing, then it's not going to earn a penny. So get it
No,
out there.
exactly.
Exactly. And I think that is a fantastic place to end. I hope that
Perfect.
we've given you something to think about and some ideas to go forth with, and go and get out there and
Make
earn
your
your
$1,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For
But
more
you can do it.
information,
We've
Yeah.
spoken to enough people over the years. You can
Yeah,
absolutely do it.
100%. You can 100% do it. Go listen to some more podcasts if you want more information about different aspects of what we've talked about. Come join us in our Patreon. We've got a $10 tier for people who want to join us in the Facebook group, in our mastermind, where you can come and ask us questions specifically about your books and what you're doing, and we will answer. We're all in there. Or even get coaching with us. $100.
Yep.
Coaching from sessions
Mm.
through Patreon. It's another great way to get information specific to you, specific to your books, to jumpstart you towards getting that $1,000. So, and we're here to help, and we love to help, don't we?
Yeah.
Don't we,
We
lovely
do.
ladies?
We do.
So
Yes.
do.
Yes, we do. All right. Well, that's us for another mini-sode. We'll be back again very soon. But for now, farewell.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.